Think we can go over onto my book selection for this week. What I want to talk about this week. I know exactly what I want to talk about this week. It is called The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle. This is a really interesting book in a couple of ways. It's a novella and is very highly kind of based off of H.P. Lovecraft. One of his weird fiction horror stories. It's got a lot of like his elements in the stories, but the twist here being that it is written by a black author. Actually, well, I think technically he's mixed, mixed race, but you know what they say. One drop came upon this guy Victor LaValle, who excellent author too. He has a bunch of books out. I've only read about two of them so far, and he quickly became one of my favorite authors already, just off the jump. From his first book, the Ballad of Black Tom. It's mainly due to his relation to H.P. Lovecraft as well. So I think for the most part, a lot of people already know that H.P. Lovecraft is he's problematic. He's pretty problematic. He is a genius author that nobody can take that away from him. You know what I mean? Because I one of my favorite stories ever actually is one of his. The Dunwich Horror is one of my absolute favorite stories, and it's got all the good Lovecraft staples. It's got elder gods. It's got this the Necronomicon, and it's got this weird hybrid elder god creature in there. What was his name? Watley. Old Watley. Wilbur. Yeah, it's got this Wilbur Watley, the creature in there. It's a book that I read years ago, and it just captured my imagination. And it's what really kind of pulled me into like the whole like elder god Cthulhu mythos, like the elder ones, and that whole thing, that whole universe. I really loved it. Fell hard for it, and then I started looking into H.P. Lovecraft, the author, and it was a blow. Oh yeah, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, he's a huge racist. raving racist. Yeah, it's kind of hard to sweep that under the rug, Kind of hard to separate, the art from the artist, knowing that he kind of hates you and your whole kind. There it is. But that's the truth of it. And the tragedy of that is like it really does taint his work. It is weird knowing that a mind that can create all that is also a mind that can harbor such hatred. So how did I find about Victor LaValle? I think I was going down that whole like rabbit hole. There was some video on YouTube, I'm sure, and I was looking. It was like a panel about just that, how to handle H.P. Lovecraft, the modern time kind of thing. And I think Victor LaValle was it was Victor LaValle and like about three other people on the panel, but he was like the only person of color on the whole panel. Yeah, so I looked into Victor LaValle and I found this book, The Ballad of Black Tom. I picked it up and on Kindle and on Audible too. And I was reading. This was back in 2016, 17, something like that. I was still working in the city. Man, this book is amazing. It kind of blew me away. I became an instant fan of Victor LaValle. He was the one author that kind of knocked Joseph Delaney off my top favorite author list. He was there for years. All right, so what is this book about? So Ballad of Black Tom. It is this takes place back in like the 1920s Harlem. So back in like Renaissance era Harlem. It's about a kind of a street performer, or just like a kind of a street hustler named Tommy Tesler. Tommy Tesler. Yeah, I wanted Tesler. No, Tommy Tester. And he plays his guitar pretty much on the street. for like dollars or money. And he has like, I think he also has this kind of like factory job or mill job or some kind of like hard labor thing like that. But it pays him like pennies on the dollar or something like that. And so he like street performs with his old guitar. It's him and his dad, and he learned how to play the guitar from his dad because his dad also plays, and so he kind of picked it up. One day he is performing, and this kind of wealthy white guy comes and says he loves his music and drops some coins in his guitar case or whatever, and sends him like an invitation to like the ritzy side of town, some ritzy part back in the day, but now is pretty hood. Is like rough as hell over there now. Victor LaValle was writing in the story how the police would just harass you if you were just there like when the sun was just starting to go down, like in that part. Like any like black man like walking around in the streets in that neighborhood and the sun's going down, they just start harassing you off break. So there's like two cops just like following him, when he's going to this gig. Come to find out, without spoiling it or going into it, it's like this whole thing they're trying to raise the elder gods and things like that, and but Tommy somehow some way gets the upper hand in the situation, and I will leave the rest up to you to read, to discover. Yeah, it is an excellent story. If you are any fan of Lovecraft at all, if you're into like the whole Cthulhu mythos at all, this book has something for you. It's not super long either. I've read it probably about like 3 times now. It's not super long. It's definitely something you can go back to every now and then, like every other year or so, just to kind of reread it. I'm personally going to say that it's kind of like a better version of a Lovecraft story because it doesn't have the xenophobia and the racism and stuff like that in it. Yeah, so because if you've read the horror at Red Hook, he has an African American gentleman in the book that he just does not give glowing descriptions of. You know what I mean? And so you could totally see how somebody who wrote the horror at Red Hook can write something called On the Creation of Niggers. Yeah, I can totally see that. But yeah, it's totally my jam, totally my lane. It's weird fiction, it's horror, it's got like a black lead in it, it's in the voice of like a black author. This guy is like a huge inspiration to me. He's like one of my absolute favorite authors working today. And on top of that, he's even writing comic books. I think he's writing a run of Sabretooth. I hope it's still going. I haven't, my comic pile is like massive. I'm trying to work my way through it to get to that. Ballad of Black Tom, out of 5, this is a straight 5, straight fire. Just love it beginning to end. I've read it about 3 times already. I was just listening to it a couple weeks ago, like on the ride into work, in the car. Yeah, this is a book I'm probably never gonna put down. I'm always gonna pick it up and read it again, and I highly suggest it. Yeah, Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle, 5 out of 5. Yes, sir.